Hey, what's up? It's me, Awesome Alley.
And I'm Rayson. Welcome back to another episode of
Adults Teens Need to Know. Who are you?
And what do you do? Today we are featuring the founder of Jube 2, Christopher Darryl. Woo!
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you? How are you guys doing?
We are doing amazing. We're doing awesome actually. Yeah, really embracing the name. Thank you so much for being on our interview show today. We're really excited to start interviewing you. And yeah, so let's get started. We always start off with our first question, and that is, who are you and what do you do?
Well, thanks. Well, my name is Christopher Darryl, and I'm a born and raised Calgarian, and started entrepreneurship about 5 years ago, I would say. I've always been in the sales sector. And I just became, my dad has always been my hero. So that's how I got started in entrepreneurship. And I started this business. Is that what you were asking me? Sorry, who I was in the business that I do?
Who are you and what do you do? Yeah.
So what I do is I've always had a heart for helping entrepreneurs, startups, and business owners in any way, any capacity that I can, with getting, having the means and the trust and the want to have access to the business services that they need all in one place. And I'll get into further detail a little bit later about the business.
Awesome. So your dad was the one who kind of got you started in the entrepreneurial world. Is that correct?
Yeah, he never really guided me into that world. It was just more of an interest of what he did, and him being such a successful entrepreneur. And I've always looked up to him and the life that he led as being an entrepreneur, which really inspired me to want to be an entrepreneur myself.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And how do you define an entrepreneur, Chris?
You know what? Somebody that is a visionary and that has drive, and isn't afraid to really put in a lot of work and effort into building a legacy, not just for yourself, but for those not behind you, but those that are close to you. And that's what I find as an entrepreneur. Not somebody who just constantly comes up with ideas, but with the true meaning of being an entrepreneur behind it is, like I said, that dive into the willingness to put in that work to really make something succeed.
Wow.
Very nice. I think that was really impactful. Thank you, Chris. And we also have some comments with us. Anissa says, you look warm. We are freezing out here in Toronto. And you're in the nice Calgary sun.
Where are you right now?
Well, I'm in Invermere, BC. So it's still -10 or something like that, I think. But there's still quite a bit of snow out there. I don't know if you can see it behind me. If I had the blinds up, I'd show you, but the sun's too bright. But I am warm. I'm in my sunroom here with about 50 plants. So it's lots of oxygen in here, which I need, right? Because I work, quite a few hours.
Wow. That's amazing. Yes, your scenery is definitely super nice and lovely, giving you off that Canadian BC vibe. And BC, for all you who may not know, is British Columbia, which is in the western bit of Canada.
Okay, so Chris, tell us a little bit more about your past businesses and ventures that you have been a part of.
Yeah, so my main business is Juju Business Builders, and that just morphed into being an umbrella for several different platforms. So I started a radio show called The Entrepreneurs Lounge, where we interview 20 to 40 businesses a month. And it's not your regular interview or commercial. We want to hear about your failures. We want to hear about your struggles and how you overcame them to inspire other entrepreneurs and startups and see how they did it. We find that very motivational, for that. So, it's not about the profit in that. It's really seeing the businesses be able to talk about them, because a lot of people don't get asked that question. Like, what struggles did you have to go through? What, speed bumps did you have to go through, and downfalls, and how did you overcome them to succeed in a business? So that's my passion on the radio show. Then we own one of the largest networking and speakers events in Calgary that we're taking across Canada, where we feature, a very impactful speaker. We really engage with people to be able to network and lock arms with like-minded people. And then we have a trade show so people can, offer their services like in a trade show manner. And, we have 100 to 120 businesses attend a month for that. And it's really nice to see them be able to connect and talk to each other and share their businesses. So that was the reason I got into that business behind. We don't charge for our events, so there's no profit made out of there. That's just really the profit is of seeing people connect. And then my main business now, which is Jube2, which I gained, is that subscription-based platform where we offer absolutely every single service a business needs to be sustainable, profitable, all at a discounted rate. But more importantly, we offer the life discounts for all their life needs and wants too. We built that concept on that infinity 8 symbol. Is the more money we can save people in life, the more money they can put into their business, and the more money they make in their business, they can put into their life. And we gave it to them at an extremely low cost because so many people especially need it now that the C word's out, you know what I mean? And people can't be open like they used to be and all that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to give back to that community and be able to sleep at night knowing that we're not, out there for just the profit reason. Yes, I got to make a living, but to know that people can now have trusted resources at their hand and be able to help them. So those are my past businesses. I started it out, just selling one product, but that one product I was selling, they were needing more and more and more. So I thought there's got to be a one-stop shop for everybody that can be trusted.
Wow. That is fantastic. That is amazing. All the different businesses that you have been a part of, and now you're helping business owners and entrepreneurs being able to support their life needs, work needs, business needs, anything that they really need within your Jube2, which is, like you're saying, following that infinity symbol right there. So if you're watching, make sure to drop a comment, ask your questions to Chris about business. If you're, we got some teams watching on Instagram, so you guys drop your questions down about maybe like, how do you start your business? What is a thing that you've done that, you overcame, or is a struggle, some tips and tricks that you might help us out? Drop those comments and let's get engaged in the conversation. So Chris, talking about your Jube2, and why was it created?
Now you kind of also went into the symbol, but like, where was the inspiration?
Well, I'll tell you, I was working in the oil and gas industry for quite some time, making, good money, 6 figures. And I'm that kind of guy that I got to sleep with a notepad beside my bed because I come up with an idea. And if I wake up in the morning and I feel like it's something I got to do and I can feel it in my toes, my knees, my fingers, my chest, my head, I'm going to go through it because I'm really big on failure. I love failure. I fail forward, I fail fast, and I learn from it. And, if I get criticized in the time being or punched and knocked down, I always ask, what could I do better, to that client? So what I started out doing, and I think this is what you asked me, I have ADHD really bad, so I'll start forgetting when I start rambling, and I find that's a superpower for me in my business because I can deal with a ton of moving parts. But you're asking me what inspired me to start this business. I think, there you are, is somebody introduced to me a product called a health spending account, which is health and dental benefits for incorporated businesses. And I thought it was such a necessity and such a need for these entrepreneurs, startups, and business owners to have, because you get all your money back with health and dental expenses, and you can only be incorporated. So when I quit my job literally the day I found out about those to sell these because I knew everybody needed it. But so people would ask me, well, I really want this, but I'm not incorporated. They'd say, can you get me incorporated? And I'm a yes guy. I always say yes, and I'll find a way to do it very quickly. And I would say, yeah, I'll get you incorporated. And they say, well, since you got me incorporated, can you get me a domain name? I'd be like, yeah, for sure. And then, well, now that you got me a domain name, could you get me a website built? I was like, yeah, for sure. And I thought, you know what? There's got to be a one-stop shop for this. So I developed into Jube2, where I brought together a very tight family and community of joint venture partners to facilitate these services across Canada at a discounted rate to help them. And I take pride in that we're the top vetted vendors to provide these services. So that was my inspiration to bring that, because when I started my health spending account business, this is what I needed. Yeah. I needed lead generation. I needed websites. I needed coaches. I needed content writers. I needed health or life insurance and business insurance. So I just brought a community and be able to offer it to the entire community of entrepreneurship across Canada.
Yeah, I mean, there was so many great things that you said, and there's always comments about how everything's so accessible. You know, we always have the resources to start up a whole business, and sometimes we have too much resources that we don't even know where to start. And I think you developing something like that. So let's expand on that. You had joint ventures come together to facilitate Jube 2. What was it like? What was your pitch?
Well, you know what? Like, we have 94 partners inside of here right now, inside of Jube 2, offering the services. We're going to cap it at about 150. I only take 3 to 4, sometimes 5, depending on the industry, people from each industry. So let's use accounting, right? Like, I'll take only on 3 or 4 accountants. And the reason I do that is because I don't eat at Boston Pizza. Well, I like it, but I don't like to eat there because the menu's too big and I can't make my mind up. I don't want my members to feel the same, right? Like, who do I pick, you know? So I keep it to 3 to 4 for that reason. The second reason I do that is that if somebody's not the right fit for one account, that they have that comfortability and option to go to, say, a couple others that might be the right fit, and they don't feel they have to leave Jube 2 to source it out. The third reason I do it is because we are an extremely tight family. And when I say that, I don't like to say Jube 2 partners. I like to say Jube 2 fam, because every partner I have in there, I know personally, for the exception of 8 to 10, but they were referred to me by my close people. So it makes me feel good that everybody knows each other in one way or another in my community. And that I want my people in Toronto to know my people in Calgary, Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, you know, Regina, Saskatchewan, and all that. And they can all connect with each other, right? So that it is one big happy family and community. So that was my pitch to them is, you know, like, you're being part of, you know, and I hate the word pitch because I don't make money off any of my vendors. I don't want a referral fee from them. All I want them is to be integral and honest and driven so that they can offer the value to the subscribers that need their services, you know, because my subscribers only pay $25 a month, right? Like, so I'm not breaking anybody's bank, but if my vendors can offer a unique offering or a discount to these subscribers that they can't get anywhere else, and they have that in there, then it builds a very, very, very strong community for us. So that's basically how I explain it to those vendors. And you know what? I've only had 2 people out of the 100 say they weren't interested.
Well,
that's a high closing rate. I like it.
Extremely, yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. And to continue on with the with your Jube 2 for a second, I'm curious, how has it grown so much? Like, what has been the success within your launch? How long have you been open, and what's it like so far?
So I've been working on this for about 1.5 years. You know, my main company is Jujube. Everybody knows it from the candy mostly, but what they don't know, it's like the most cultivated tree in India and China. It grows in 6 inches of dirt in any climate. They use the Jujube fruit for hair loss treatment, skin treatment, cancer treatment, dessert. So it's very diverse. So I came up with the name Jujube, you know.
He's a little frozen, but that's good. I hope you guys get a lot from this because Chris is talking about some really amazing things here. And if you're listening, you can hear the passion in his voice when he talks about, like,
he just got cut off there. And sorry about that. And then, so Jube 2 came about. Jube 2 is the second part of Jujube, and we offer 2 services because we're the click to pay lesson business and life store, right? Now you're going to have to ask me the question you were asking for again because I just rambled on and went off.
No, it's okay.
You got it.
You disconnected there for a sec, so we just like, oh, yeah. But that's totally okay. So, Risha, would you ask?
Yeah, so I would just say, like, in top of you have an extremely high closing rate, which is amazing. But there was one thing that stood out, and you said it from the beginning, is that you love failure. You love failing forward. So what are some of your greatest obstacles that you have had with either Jube 2 or Jube?
Well, I mean, you know, I've overcame, now that I have like 90 vendors, I've got 90 people backing me. So I have a lot of people to rely on and get help from, and I help them as much as I can too. But, obstacles, it's hard for me to remember my obstacles because I overcome them so quickly and I learn from them and move on. But some of the obstacles that I've had is making sure I'm offering the services that people are going to need and want, because I don't want to bring on a vendor. My obstacle is offering the services that are going to be needed. I don't want to offer a bunch of services that are maybe not going to be needed, because I want to make sure my vendors get the business. So I just brought on a new guy that strictly markets to the music industry, to rap, rock and roll, everything. But that's what they focus on, is their niche for marketing. So, and same with dental. So I brought on 2 people that, and I didn't charge them hardly anything to be a part of this, because I don't make money from them, but because they're niche, right? So, and I don't know if it's going to work if, targeting the music industry, because music people don't understand, a lot of people don't understand that that's a business, and they need accountants, bookkeeping, and coach and everything. And if they ran it as a business, it would be a lot more successful. So we brought in a coach for the music industry and stuff like that. So those are my obstacles, of making sure that I bring in the right people to offer their services and make sure that everybody's going to be happy. So that's one of my biggest obstacles, but I don't have too many of those.
That's amazing. And how do you actually overcome those obstacles so easily? Like you said, you learn from it and you move on, but sometimes you can get stuck on them. So what's your advice on that?
What's your method?
On what, sorry?
So when let's say you do encounter like an obstacle or a speed bump in the road, you said, okay, I just get over it right away and quickly, right? So what's your method in doing so? Because many entrepreneurs, right, they hit a brick wall or they hit a big speed bump and that rears them off the road and they kind of stay off the path for a while. So what's your method? So when you do hit that speed bump or do hit that wall for a second, how do you break through that quickly?
You know what? Nike said it really, really well, but my dad said it better. If you want something, just do it. So I just take all my focus on that. If there's an obstacle like that, focus on it and deliver on it, assess it, take in the help that you need from those people close to you, reach out and ask their advice. Everybody's willing to help, especially when you ask them, can you help me? Nobody will say no. So, I mean, if I can't do it myself, I reach out, but it's your reaction time. I find that you got to react very quickly and, try to assess that and get it fixed as soon as possible. Have I done that every time? No, because I'd be afraid sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to do this, and I'd sweep it under the rug, and then build up and fester. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night and people are getting angry, and so I've learned, you got to deal with it now. Just like if somebody emails you and you can't assess what they want right away or get back to them what they want, tell them, hey, I'm a little bit busy, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Put it in your calendar. But that's the only advice I can give, is deal with it as fast as possible and reach out if that's what you need to do.
Yes. Speed of implementation, right? Like once you get that thing and it's going, what this problem comes up, the speed of implementation that you can act on, really allows you to get over that. Like, great example, Grace and I, we're publishing 2 books coming up soon for all, so a secret, whatever. We're publishing some stuff coming up, right? And we lost a publisher just 2 months ago, right? And big fallout, whatever happened. And then the very next day, we are on to moving, building that up and trying to get onto the next program, figuring it out, figuring how we can come up with the next solution and how we can continue to move forward. We didn't let that, obstacle stop us in our way. We just, all right, that's what it is. It is what it is. How can we move on? So fantastic.
We do have a comment here, and I think this is really great. Like, you're explaining this really well. We'll take the first, because you already kind of explained what made you continue to go forward. We'll go from the first one. So BB asked, what was your first moment of failure? And I know you said it's kind of hard for you to remember, but if you can, could you please share it with our audience?
Yeah, my first moment of failure is, well, one is I do jump into things very quickly, right? Like, so when I get that feeling, I just go for it, and I go from 0 to 500 in 2 seconds, and I'll have a business launched in 2 days. without really going into the background. So my first one is with my radio show. I started working with a company that didn't deliver the videos I needed. And so we lost out like $10,000, and like 20 companies didn't get their videos or anything like that. And that was huge, detrimental. It almost bankrupted my company. But all I could do was get somebody else in there, because I used all the money for marketing already, because I get overconfident that there's not going to be an issue, which I've learned now to hang on to that. Don't go spending your profits and your money even into marketing right out of the gate, because there can be some issues that come out. So that was my biggest failure, and my biggest lesson made is to take your time. Don't go from 0 to 500 and get excited too much. You know what I mean? Or broadcast it out. We did this. We interviewed 20 companies. Wait till you guys hear all this. And then nothing comes out because you've let down so many people. But I'm that kind of guy, because I get excited. I'm very optimistic. And I'm not saying don't be optimistic, but just prepare yourself for those failures, right? Like, and actually write it down and think about, like some of the outcomes that could happen, right? So that's now what I do when I, like in any situation.
Wow, that's yes, definitely, because life has a very funny way of getting you all hyped up and hey, have a little thing right here. Let's sprinkle some stuff in your way to slow you down a bit. And speaking about trying to understand obstacles that are coming up in the 10x rule by Grant Cardone, he said one thing that people tend to always miss, or undervalue, is thinking about the possibility that underestimating what I'm trying to get to, underestimating the problems and challenges that you will encounter along your journey. We always aim so big, but always say, oh no, that you always underestimate how much time, failure, and struggles that you will have along the way, because we're very over optimistic when we're passionate and fired up about something.
Exactly. And you know what? And this Mary said, yeah, it's like getting married before you know somebody. And it was funny. She's just said that. So thanks, Mary, because I was going to go to that, because you get into a relationship and you get into honeymoon mode stage, for the first whatever. And now you're falling in love. You're thinking about moving in together, but you really don't know that person, especially on the level of argument. So, you need to ask those questions when you get into a relationship. How do you like to argue? How do you like to fight? How do you like your partner to fight and argue? Because those are questions that are never asked. You know what I mean? And then say one time you get in a fight and somebody's a thrower or a yeller or likes to leave for 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? You don't know, and then now you're thrown for a loop. So in business, you got to do the same thing with your partners. I'm very transparent and ask my partners, if there's a situation that arises, or a confrontation or a disagreement between you and I, how do you like to deal with that? Or do you instantly call the collection agency because I didn't pay on time, or vice versa? Or do you like to talk it out and work something out? Once you understand those people and ask those questions that are never asked, your relationship in business and a personal relationship are 10 times better and a lot more smoother and a lot more clarity.
So really asking, not the automatic questions, but going deeper and figuring out, what is this person really like? I love that right there. Great tip for you guys applying to business and personal.
Yeah. So Chris, as we're coming more towards the end, what is your message to young entrepreneurs?
To all entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs?
I mean, young entrepreneurs. Sorry.
You know what, you guys, and I'm telling you right now, when I first connected with you, it was absolutely inspiring. I was shocked. My girlfriend was on the elliptical listening to our conversation, and she was like, how old is that guy? And how old are you again? 15?
Yeah, I'm 15 and my sister's 18.
Right? Like both so young and inspirational. And anybody who's listening here who's a young entrepreneur, follow these two, because they have that drive and they have that want that I want to see in people who are young like you guys, and the people that are even in their 50s starting a new business. You got to have that energy and you got to have that drive. Don't effing give up. Don't do that. Keep going. Because I see people, I'll see them with asking about their new business, and they've got so much passion and so much excitement and so much drive. And then I'll run into them 6 months later and say, hey, how's that bracelet business? You know what I mean? That I thought was so cool and they were so excited about. And they're like, oh no, I moved on. Now I'm trading Forex. And I'm like, that wasn't even something that you wanted to do. Why did you stop? Oh, it was taking too long and I wasn't making any money. You can't give up like that. As hard as it gets, it's like Sylvester Stallone said, life's not all full of sunshine and rainbows. It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and get up and still keep going. Take those punches. Don't give up. It doesn't take long. Just like I tell young teenagers, take your high school seriously because it's only 3 years. You know what I mean? It goes by like the snap of your fingers. And it seems like forever, but it's not. But in the end, it's all worth it. Mm-hmm. So just take that time, keep that drive, meditate, manifest your business being successful 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, and keep following it. And that's the only advice I can give. I wish I did that when I was young. Instead, when I was your guys' age, I just wanted to go party, meet girls, and play rock and roll and, hang out with the cool crew. And I kick myself in the ass for that all the time, but you can't regret too many things because that's, at that point, it was what I wanted, right? So,
yeah.
Don't, it's never too late to start, but start young. And you know what, by the time you're 40 years old, I'm 44, but by the time you hit that, you're going to be way ahead of the game, just like you guys are. And I'm really excited to follow you guys and use you guys as an examples, for that community of young entrepreneurs.
Oh, thank you for that, Chris. Thank you for your loving words and your love and passion. If you're listening to that, you should have just heard the amazing goal that Chris just dropped right there about, especially if you're a young entrepreneur, comment, share this to your friends, share this to a family member, a parent who has a teenager who you say, listen to this interview. This guy just said something that your kid's going to love or that you should love, and tell your kid, let them get started in business. I think entrepreneurship is the best things, creating that side hustle. There's many benefits, but also the drive, the consistency, the discipline that has to go into it is the real getaway from that. Chris, we got a few more questions before.
Sorry, question from our audience.
Okay, go.
Okay, you read it.
All right, so this is from BB. She said, do you ever connect someone on an emotional side when they fail at their first attempt of starting a business?
Absolutely. And you know what? People, before a business, people are people. They're persons. You know what I mean? So they started this business at an emotional level. So then, yeah, you should talk to them on an emotional side. Like, how does that, like, I'm not that kind of guy. Like, tell me, how did that make you feel? I'm not that guy, but I'm like, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, what impact did it have on you, man? Or lady, or whatever who it is, and I'm very just how I would talk to my friends and my daughter about it, like that feeling was shitty, right? Sorry, excuse my language, but like, and that feeling sucked, so I do connect with them on an emotional level because I've been there, done that kind of thing. And I hate using those cliches, but I think the emotional side of things when they fail at their first attempt of starting a business is the first and only way to connect with them. And then maybe offer, that business side of advice, but get to know your people. If that person's asking you, like when they're failing and talking to you about it, it's emotional for them. It's emotional. You got to take that emotion in.
Yes. And also I want to touch on what you just said there. Connecting with them on the emotional side, they started up emotionally, right? Many people, like you were saying, you get all pumped up and you jump into a business. Many people are like that. Like you were saying with your great example of the bracelet and the Forex. They got pumped up with the bracelet, didn't see results, and then they jumped to Forex. That people are very looking for a get-rich-quick thing right now. Instead of, like you were saying, building that long-term legacy. So when you do connect with somebody on the emotional side, if they are coming to you, that should be like your first time. Like you should feel thankful for yourself. You can tell them that stuff because that shows that person has a trust in you. They believe that you can help them. You have something that they think, you'll give them the support and stuff. But for me, I want your thoughts on this before we ask our last two questions. Would you give them their not the satisfaction that they need of, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. Would you give them like, all right, you failed and stuff, great, but you connect with them personally, right? You connect, you go through it with them, but you don't give them the freedom to just like be the victim in there. What's your thought on that when it comes to giving them that emotional support? Don't let them be the victim. What's your thought on that?
My thought on it or my approach? Well, my thought on it, my approach?
Either one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I talk to everybody from my heart. I talk to people how I would talk to my longtime best friend. You know what I mean? And I'm very big on aura and body language. So I find myself to be kind of like a social chameleon that I can adapt, to anybody's kind of emotion, whether it be business or relationship or anything like that. But my approach to them is talk to them how they're approaching you. Like, hey man, my business failed and I don't know exactly how I should do this stuff. And, like I don't get straight into business. I tend to talk to them and ask them questions about who they are first, because that's like the first sign I think of, part of their failures. And then I like to get into theirs, like really install into their minds that failing forward is a positive thing. Right. And failing fast and how to deal with it quickly. And like, I give them examples of how I've done it. Not that everybody's the same as me, but that's how I approach it and, and try to help them with it. But on an emotional level, you can't be fake. You got to be genuine and ask them, like, again, like, how did this impact you?
Wow.
Thank you. And on top of that, so one of our last questions, you've been talking about really great things. So just very quickly, what are 4 principles or values that you live by? Just point them out.
You know what? Like before, like I've been going through a lot of self-realization right now and self-rejuvenation. Like I've been a very insecure man my entire life. Nobody's ever believed that because I walk around, tall and strong and confident. But inside, I'll admit, I've been a broken man for many, many, many years. And it wasn't until recently, until a certain someone that I was able to open up myself to and be able to release everything that's been bothering me in my life. Every piece of thing, if I've manipulated a situation or lied or anything like that. And it has brought a world of wonder to me of self-healing and realizing who I am as a person, as opposed to the person I was for the past 20 years. So integrity, honesty, trust, and transparency are like my ultimate biggest things. And that's for me personally. But if you're like that as another person there, you're going to see yourself self-improve and and those around you, which those 2 things are the most important. Like those around you and those who love you, that to be honest with yourself and love yourself, then you can portray that to your business, those 4 values. You know what I mean? That people will actually feel that from you, from your aura. So those are my biggest values in business.
Okay.
And in life.
So business and life. Let me just make sure I got them. There was integrity, honesty, transparency, and trust, correct?
Yeah. And if you want to add one more, like love what you do, love who you are, and love those that are around you, and those that you just be genuine, man. Like that's it. Just wear yourself on your sleeve. I've never been able to do that before until a certain someone, came into my life and somehow the universe let me open up to her and tell everything I needed to. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's why, as you asked me, how things been doing lately. The past month, I have never grown so much into the man I always knew I could be and the man I've always wanted to be.
It's funny how to see when you finally get to release some things off your chest, off your back, you see the strands start to get clipped and you just skyrocket to where you want to be. So thank you, Chris, for joining us today. Do you have, where can people connect with you? How can they get in touch? Here's your chance to give your plug. Give yourself a shout out.
You know what? We got 2 great events coming up here on March 11th and March 18th with 2 very inspirational people. So check those out. You guys can join Juju Business on Facebook or friend me. I'm friends with anybody who's like-minded. Under Chris Shabodiak, kind of hard to spell there. But you'll find me, Chris Shabodiak, spell it phonetically or whatever. But, connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Juju Business. I'm not too active on there, but LinkedIn, again, under Chris Shabodiak, you'll see everything I do. I post everything from funny stuff, inspirational stuff to business stuff. I've got a lot of connections, but that's the best way. But check us out at jube2.ca. Then it's JUBE number 2.ca, and learn how you can save thousands in your life and business, and better yet, connect with like-minded people in our community, because we're one of the fastest growing, powerful entrepreneurship startup business owner communities in Canada. And we're proud to say that we're here to help you guys.
Wow.
I love that. I love
amazing.
that.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for our viewers. Thank you to the comments. We love you. Love you. Thank you for the likes, the love, the shares. This was presented by APSO. Awesome people.
Shaping our world.
Remember, you are awesome.
And you make the world a better place.
Bye.
You guys are awesome. Thanks so much.